Hello and welcome, everyone. Thanks for watching this podcast. Um, as usual, I'm back with my colleague Jakir Hussain, who is a community activist and a parent governor at a local school. Welcome, Jakir Bhai.
Thank you very much, Rohit, for having me.
So today we are going to actually speak um, on parenting. We feel that it's a subject we need to explore. Um, I'm going to ask Zakir Bhai, when I say parenting, uh, what comes to your mind?
I think first thing that comes to mind is responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
first thing that comes to mind would be responsibility. I mean, it's not an easy job being a parent, and the immense responsibility of looking after children. They're not only their immediate needs, but their future direction. So, as a parent, you have a lot of things. Not only living your own life, but you have to think about your children's life as well. And act accordingly. So it's a huge responsibility. So in one word, if you were to ask me parenting, I'll say responsibility.
yeah. And obviously, I know that you are a parent yourself of two children, and you're also a parent governor. So,
Yeah,
can you sort of just compare when you were growing up compared to now, how
yeah,
parenting have changed? Can you see the differences?
yeah. I think if we look at our parents' generation, I think the situation they found themselves in was very different to yourself and myself. We were educated here. I mean, I was born here, brought up here, and I think our understanding of parenting, our understanding of responsibilities, engaging with the school is on a different level to our parents. We know the language, we are fluent in the English language. Our parents weren't. So, what they could give to us and the support that they could give to us, their understanding of society, their understanding of societal pressures on the child, peer pressures on the child. I think a lot of that was not understood, I feel, by our parents. And even if it was, because of the way their life was, mum, staying at home, dad working outside, I do feel that the children sometimes didn't always get the help that they needed. But now, obviously, with the parents who grew up in this country, their understanding, their engagement with how they parent, how their responsibilities as parents is actually quite different now. I think there's a better understanding, and also now with both parents in quite a few cases, both parents working, you know, I think it's a different type of challenge now. Now it's a case of it's not the language barrier anymore. It's not understanding societal pressures or peer pressure. I think now it's more a case of the parents just trying their best to sort of juggle and balance their children, their work, and just in general their extended families. So I do think it has changed. I think the parents are a lot more aware now of the children's needs. They're a lot more aware of being the importance in engaging with the school, um, the homework. So I do think there has been a big change in the way the parents now engage with their children's schools and their children.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience, I think one of the barriers to our forefathers was language, obviously. And because of that, they didn't actually understand how things worked. Even like going to parents' meeting. I remember like when I was growing up, you didn't see many parents going to parents' meeting. But when I became a parent, when I used to go to parents' meeting, obviously my children have all grown up. Um, I saw the change. Like honestly, almost every other parent went to parents' meeting, and also people. Back in the old days, a lot of people were actually working, especially the Bengali community I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They were working in the restaurant trade, and the hours they were working were very odd hours. So that is why they weren't able to actually give time to the families, the children, and the wife. And obviously, we know from studies after studies, like well, when you have both parents contributing to a child's development, they tend to do better in life. Yeah, so I think for a generation or two, there was almost the father was missing in our community, you know.
Yeah.
But obviously, with the new generation, people who got married within the last sort of 5, 10 years, 15 years, who grew up in this country, they understand, they have the education, they understand how things work, and they are able to sort of guide the children, you know, to better careers or better developments.
Absolutely.
Another thing I realized is that yes, I mean back in the days, the older generation, they used to have really high aspirations for their child. Although they weren't
Yeah.
very literate, but they used to have aspiration like, you know, they would want their child to become a doctor, engineer, lawyer, yeah,
Yeah.
the conventional um,
Yes. Yes.
professions. But now, yes, I mean, we see a lot of young generation parents like they guide their children well, but then again, I think there is a big question like, you know, I think children should be guided, you know, at least like until they've finished their A levels, until like 18. Whereas we see
Absolutely.
nowadays, like children are given choices from primary school, you know. And as a result, like I met a guy the other day. So his father is a doctor, his mom is a lawyer, but he's currently actually unemployed. He's a graduate. He did BA Arts, basically.
BA Arts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was asking, I asked him like why that was. Like he was telling me like it's because he was given the free choice,
Yeah. Yeah.
the freedom to choose, and he was confused at the time, and that's why he decided to sort of start study arts. And 2 years down the line, after graduating, he's still looking for a job. You know.
Yeah. I think.
Uh,
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Actually, I think again, there's different challenges to so you know modern times, or the last 15 years, where I mean you just gave a very good example. One's a doctor, one's a lawyer, but the son is, or daughter is, they studied arts and they don't have a job. I think what we have to also be mindful of is that we have modern day society pressures, which says, let your child explore.
hmm,
Now, the problem with the exploring is, what is the child exploring? What does a child understand about exploring? If you were to just send your child on a boat and say, go and explore in the waters, would you do that? You
hmm,
wouldn't, because they
right,
don't know how to navigate.
exactly.
So if they are not of an age where they can navigate through life and
Hmm,
actually have had experience of life, as you said, up to the age of 18, they'll like slowly start understanding who are good friends, who are not, what do they need to do in life. Life is not a joke. In life you have to make something of yourself, and your formative years are very important. Now, if the formative years are very important, the best people to guide you would be your parents and your teachers in collusion.
hmm,
And I don't agree with parents saying, oh, I just want my child to choose and child to explore, because the child doesn't have the understanding as to what it is exploring or what it is trying to find out.
hmm,
So I do think, yes, I believe in freedom, but I do believe in freedom where there is still a guide, someone steering the ship. You can go anywhere with the ship, but the person steering the ship has to be the parents. Because I have seen again as well, some decide to do music. I said both their parents are very well educated, and their children are doing sort of all sorts because the parents believe that the child should be able to choose. Child should be able to choose at a certain age. I do not believe that children who are too young, especially under the age of 16, they're still discovering life. Their bodies are going through changes. Teenagers go through so many challenges. And if you add another, in a way, it's another responsibility to say to the child, you choose. What is it choosing from? How do it doesn't a child at that age does not have in general the ability to decipher what is good for it and what is bad for it. So I'm not someone who believes in total freedom for children to choose their career path. I strongly believe that parents should have an influence on the child's decision. What I don't agree with is for parents to say, you have to be a doctor. I don't agree with that. I do believe that there should be a choice to say, especially when they're doing the GCSE, the parents should be involved to make sure that they take subjects which can give them options for their A-levels and then in the future. So taking a variety of subjects would allow them to weigh up which one they enjoy, which one they don't enjoy. So I do think that the freedom to choose should be there, but it shouldn't be in a way where it becomes meaningless. So they can, as you said, I'm not saying art is meaningless, but if you were to compare it to other disciplines, art is art. So yes, absolutely. I think there has to be a guided freedom, and I don't think parents should say you have to be a doctor. We need to stop that. What we should say to the children is these are the paths, and also get your children to speak to have career advisors, or tell the children to or arrange for them work experience in a lawyer's firm, in a doctor's surgery. So if you were to be able to be involved to a level where you can get them that initial work experience, that's the best way for the children to decide for themselves. You just have to steer the ship for them and guide them. Don't let them just be on their own trying to discover themselves, as some people say. And most of the time, the results don't come out too well. So I believe in freedom, but I do believe in the parents steering that freedom.
Yeah, I mean, there are like sort of arguments for and against. Like, again, like I'd like to give you another example. Like I met a doctor in my local hospital some time back. He's of Indian origin. And I asked him, like, why did you become a doctor? And believe me or not, this is how he answered. He said, my parents told me to.
Wow. Wow.
I know like a lot of this stuff we're talking is going to be sort of from an Asian or Muslim perspective.
Yes.
Like if I compare my community, which is the Bengali community, with the likes of Pakistani and Indians, we all of us are from the Indian subcontinent. But I think in terms of behavior, psyche, there's a difference. Yeah, there's a lot of difference.
Definitely.
Pakistanis are doing a bit better than Bengalis. But Bengalis back in 2000, Zakir Bhai, there was a report in The Guardian, and in that report it said out of all the immigrants, it was the Bangladeshis who were going to university the most.
Yes.
Which is a great achievement, But that was like back in 2000. We are seeing a lot of Bangladeshis becoming professionals like accountants, doctors, lawyers. And I think there was a recent program in one of the Bengali channels. Shout out to Channel S. They haven't paid me, by the way. So I was watching a program on Channel S, and in that program, one of the guests was saying, like, he went to a local medical college, and he found that in that college, I think more than 500 Bangladeshi students have actually gone through the medical college, within the last 10 years, which is a great achievement if you think about it.
Absolutely.
And another difference I find between our community and the Indians or even the Pakistanis, the Indians are doing much better than the indigenous population when it comes to achievement, education. And it's because I think because they have discipline. You rarely see like Indian boys or girls hanging around street corners, or in trouble. But you see a lot of Bangladeshi and Pakistani hanging around. So I think, this is, I think, look, there is a saying, a parent is equivalent to 100 teachers, The children, they say, you can get educated in institutions, but you become a good human being at home. A lot of the parents might not like what I'm saying right now. So I think,
right. The first teachers are the parents.
If you don't have discipline, parents are the number one cause, for children going astray.
I agree.
You need to have discipline at home, honestly. They need to, and most of all, I think parents need to become a good role model.
I was just going to say, I had that in one of my notes to mention that.
Engage with the children, yeah, ask the children how they're doing, what their plans are, and guide them or help them with their attainment. Um, that's one thing that is missing even amongst the young generation, I find. And another barrier is like with the young generation, because a lot of people have professional job, they just don't have the time to spend with the
Yes.
when it comes to homework and whatnot, or guiding them, because after coming home from work, they're too shattered, to sit down with the children. And another thing, like even like going on like day trips or holidays.
Yeah.
I know guys, they probably watch this program, have a go at me. I know guys, they've never taken their family on a holiday.
No,
It's,
that's not good.
it's not because they don't have the money, they don't have the
Yeah.
will, and I try as much as possible to sort of go on day trips or even like take my family on holidays. And by doing that, like you actually bond, you spend that quality time with your family. And that is something I think a lot of people need to
You
consider,
know,
you know.
on that point, I totally agree with you. I did a bit of research on that, and what they showed was successful parents who just concentrate on earning money for their family and don't give the time to the children. When the children grow up, one of the things the children say is, "We didn't want all that money. We just wanted you. We
Exactly.
wanted your attention." So my advice, again, this is something that I employ in my personal life as well. I only do my work, my 9 to 5. After that, I don't have any extra jobs or anything like that. I dedicate that time to my children. Also, I would say for parents, if you have jobs where it requires you to come, leave at 8 in the morning and come at 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening, you really seriously need to consider the hours you're doing, because your children, when they're growing up, by the age of 15, 16, most kids by that time don't need that much of your attention anymore. So it's really from the age of say 4 to 16, I would say, or even four to 15, where they need that, anything that they do, they want appreciation from the parents. They want acknowledgement from the parents. Again, research shows that this is what children want. Children want their parents to think highly of them, to acknowledge them, to love them. And the psyche that a lot of parents go into is, oh, I'm out there working for you. But the child doesn't understand that when the child is growing up, child sees you're neglecting them. Child sees the work is more important. Child cannot link the work and their future together. They can't say, oh, my dad's going or my mom's going to, or earning for us, and that's why they're not at home. So you have to put yourself in the child's shoes and think, okay, what would I do if I was a child? Do I want loads of money, which doesn't have any meaning to me, or do I want to be with my mom and dad, going on holidays, going to the park, or helping me with my homework? So again, I try my best in my own personal life. So with I'm a parent governor, so I go to the school. My daughter's very proud that I'm the governor. She tells her friends, my dad's a parent
Yes.
governor. Even small things like that,
Hmm.
because the child, what happens to the child is they feel very engaged at school, because they see that the father or the mother has taken their time to speak to the head teacher, speak to the teachers, and they see that, and they think this must be important because dad and mom are
Yeah, just
engaging
on
with my
that
head
note,
teacher.
Zakir Bhai, I just want to like say that like in terms of representation as a parent governors in towns, let alone London or the UK,
Yeah,
we need more like Asian, governors. So
absolutely,
if you are listening,
absolutely.
people, I think we need more governors. So please do inquire at your local school. You can make a
I
difference.
would, I would highly recommend that. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
parents, again, the school that I'm a governor in, even though parents sign up to be parent governors, a lot of them don't attend.
Hmm.
So I think that's another problem. If we want our children to learn what we feel is what they should be learning, how do we keep the school to account if we're
Exactly.
not attending those meetings? So I think a lot of the times I find when I'm
I think still like within the community, like being a parent governor is seen almost like a celebrity, like like when
it
people
is, yes,
politicians,
absolutely,
like in the
it is,
community,
yeah,
especially in the Bengali community, that people revere politicians, which is very unique compared to any other part of the world or any other
yeah.
kind, People literally, if you go to India, if you go to like any country in Europe or any country for that matter, people revere like film stars, singers, pop stars.
Yes.
Yeah, but only in Bengali or the Greater Bengal, you'll find
Yeah.
Bengalis are so like they love politics. Yeah, uh,
Yes.
like even in West Bengal or Bangladesh, the politicians actually are more revered and seen as a celebrity than like movie stars. You know,
But I think
and
that
I think
reflects. I
from
mean,
my
when we,
experience, I think like still within my community, we have this thing like people think like if I become a parent governor, you become a famous person, which is totally
yes,
wrong. I think
it is. It is.
parent governors, should be going to meetings, should be like raising, a
Yeah,
question.
it shouldn't be seen. Absolutely, it shouldn't be seen as a status symbol. Again,
Yeah.
it's a big responsibility,
Yes.
and I think again, parents should understand that the role of a parent governor is to engage with the school, look at the curriculum, and any concerns that parents have. They should approach the parent governor,
Yeah.
and they should be the mouthpiece for the rest of the parents. So rather than treating them like a celebrity and looking up to them, I think rather keep them busy with tasks, because that would benefit the
Exactly.
parents in general. So yes, you are right.
So
I would
please,
encourage a
if
lot
you
more
are
parents.
a concerned parent watching this program, please do think about it, or if you know anyone who is interested to get involved with the school, because we are underrepresented, because this is the only way we can voice our concerns and have an impact on the, the policies that the schools
Future of
have,
our children.
future
Yeah.
of our children. Another thing I'd like to raise, Zakir Bhai, is that, a lot of schools, the uptake of GCSE Bengali was in the news yesterday.
Okay.
Apparently, it's almost half within the last 3 years. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's very worrying because, this is the language we're all proud of as Bengalis.
Yeah.
Um, we know the history of the Bangladesh and the independence, and like up till recently, within the last decade, like obviously we used to have a lot of Bengali classes up and down the country,
Yeah.
let alone
Yeah.
hamlets. People used to hire teachers to teach their kids Bengali, but now it's sort of diminishing, day by day,
Yeah.
and it's very sad. So that report said like kids almost the number of kids who are taking GCSE is almost halved. Number of people who are taking A level almost halved. I just want to say like the time after time, study after study shows right now that if children are multilingual, they become much more smarter. They become
Absolutely.
much more successful in their lives. So if you think learning Bengali is not a trendy thing, I think it's totally wrong. I think
I
people
think
look in this country, you are given options to study other languages in schools, like such as Spanish, French,
yeah,
even Bengali.
absolutely. And I think
The
yeah,
fact
sorry.
that like we have Bengali, and I give credit to my the older generation who fought for
Yeah,
these
definitely.
things. Honestly, they
Because
they
I did
they
I
did
did
so
A
much
level
work.
Bengali. I
Yeah.
actually did A level Bengali.
Oh, good for you. Good.
I did.
I did GCSE Bengali. I got an A star. Believe me,
Okay. I didn't do as well, but yeah, I did
Good
at
for
A
you.
level.
Good for you. Yeah. So I think this is something people need to think about. Like, because now that we have this opportunity to study Bengali at GCSE and A levels, I think there should be more, people taking up these subjects, as languages. And
Absolutely.
also, like we discussed last week, people are trying, like organization, even there, discussion has started, with regards to Bengali classes being set
Yeah.
up, around the
I think it's
country, which is
important.
a good thing, which is a good thing. Recently, I mentioned one organization last week. Yesterday, I found out like another two organizations have started Bengali classes free of charge, you know,
Good.
and
It's important.
yeah, I'm even thinking about like taking my younger child to a
Yeah. So
Bengali. Yeah.
I have plans as well that when my daughter's about 10, I would like to enroll her in those classes, purely because I think with Bengali is a very rich language. If you think
yeah,
back,
without a
the
doubt.
poetry,
Yeah,
the poetry in Bengali. I mean, look at the impact that Rabindranath Tagore had. The
exactly.
national anthems of Bangladesh and India was
Yeah.
written by the same his Bengali.
Exactly.
And again, Bengali is, well, is considered the sweetest language. So I think we have all these credentials and accolades, but for some reason, the Bangladeshis themselves or the Bengalis themselves, in this, if you want to call last 10, 12 years, for some reason are not giving the priority that this language deserves. I think it's twofold. The reason why it's important to learn Bengali, or foreign language, the reason why for the Bangladeshis it's important to learn Bengali is that not only do they develop the brain, as you mentioned earlier, that they tend to be more successful when you're bilingual. As in, again, it works different parts of your brain. It opens different parts of your brain as well. So not only do they learn their mother tongue, they also learn, another language and become bilingual, going to become multilingual. I do think that because a lot of, if you want to put people of my age and younger, they themselves probably didn't learn as much Bengali. So they themselves, with the pressures of work and and their professions, I don't think they're giving it the due respect and time that it deserves. Purely because they themselves probably just done possibly just GCSEs, and after that they just spoken English with their siblings. And as time passed on, they are now not seeing the importance of Bengali and getting the new generation involved. But for myself, as I said, that's something that I see very important, that for my daughters to learn Bengali, and that's something that I would want them to do.
Yeah, another thing, Zakir Bhai, I find that especially Bengalis, and generally Asian people, we need to take our kids and involve them with extracurricular activities. I've done it myself. I'm very proud of that fact. All of my children used to go to extra classes after school, after school clubs. Yeah, even
Yeah,
in secondary, even even if it's football, badminton,
yeah, absolutely.
cricket,
It's very
whatever,
important.
it's very important to actually engage in these activities.
And I
And
think
then
physical activities as well.
physical, and the swimming is another one. And a lot of people think because the school takes your child, the primary school takes your
Yeah.
child to swimming like 3 months of the year, once a week. That's not good enough. Most children cannot even swim.
Yeah.
So that's one thing
I
that
mean,
I want to raise through this program. Swimming is not just a sport; it's a life skill. Honestly,
absolutely.
it's the best exercise. Honestly, they
Yeah.
say
The
like
whole body.
if you swim, and the whole body gets exercise. So that's one thing people really need to think about. And also martial arts. I've done martial arts when I was young. All my children done martial arts. What martial arts does is believe me, Zakir Bhai, it creates this like really, really high confidence in
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
absolutely.
So I remember when I was young, I was very shy. All my children were very shy. They used to sit at the back. Every time I used to go to parents' meeting, then the teacher used to tell me, the children, your children always sit at the back. Why is that? And then as soon as I actually enrolled them onto martial arts, yeah,
Yes.
literally after 6 months, they started sitting at the front, became more confident.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
So
we cannot
martial arts is another
underestimate.
thing people need to engage their children with because it gives them confidence and they become very brave as well. Yeah.
I think your journey, or what you've done with your children already, I'm actually going through that journey now. So again, my daughter goes to karate
Yeah.
every Fridays.
Very good.
And we have to, I think one of the reasons why I feel as a community, certain areas we're lacking in as parents is some of us, we think, as long as the child's okay and not ill and going to school and coming back and eating and going to sleep, we as parents have done our job. No, that is just the basic foundation level of parenting.
Exactly.
You have to be in a way, you have to have this a friendship with your children. The children should be in a position, or the relationship you have with your children should give them the confidence to come to you with any problems that they have. If they're not, then you as a parent are not doing what you're supposed to do. Because if they don't get the right advice from you, they'll get the wrong advice from their friends or somebody else.
Yeah.
So
Very
this
important
relationship,
point. Very important point, Zakir Bhai, before I forget.
Go for it.
keep coming back to the Indian community. Like I really honestly respect the Indian community because they have this
Absolutely. I think
discipline.
same.
Like what we create wealth, yeah, and then we during our lifetime, and then at the end we actually end up spending that wealth on our health, yeah.
Yes.
The Indian community, in contrast to the Bangladeshi and the Pakistani community, I find that they're very disciplined. They see the children as like their future. That's how
Yes.
even as
Absolutely.
Muslims, we should be
That's your best
aspiring to
investment.
yeah, we
Best
should be
investment.
aspiring to actually bring our children to the as really good human beings, but obviously a lot of it is missing. We don't see that. We don't have discipline within
I
us.
was just going to add to that point,
Like
Ruhul Bhai.
every single Indian person I know, their
Yeah.
children have done much better. Let
Yeah.
alone the Asian community, much better than the indigenous community. It's because
Yes.
they have discipline. They revere their children. They
Absolutely.
think of the children as if like it's a God's gift, and that's how it should be. Whereas one of the reasons why children go astray is because parenting isn't there,
We don't
or
value.
absent.
We don't value our children the way
Exactly,
they should be
value.
valued.
That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, we should value
We
our
don't
children
communicate. We're very
as if
poor
like they're the
communicating.
future. Like I say this, Zakir Bhai. Look, I believe like my children are my future. Okay, if my children are successful, then I'm successful. If my children
Absolutely.
fail, then I fail.
They're your
Uh,
legacy. They are your
Exactly,
legacy. They
exactly.
are your representatives after you pass away. They're
Exactly.
your representatives.
Yeah,
So I think children are the biggest wealth. And if you don't see them as your biggest wealth, biggest investment, and you see that just earning money for the family or earning extra money, because that's all you'd be doing as a parent.
yeah.
The children, they need your love and affection. And if you're failing to give them that when they need it the most, which is in the formative years, then as a parent, you haven't done what you're supposed to do. Many have it's a recipe generally for disaster when you think of working every single second that God's given you.
Yeah.
You are helping your family. In reality, most of the time, the children resent you for not being there. That's what it boils down to. If you can, like the Indian community, if you invest in your children, work less or work more sort of term time. Nowadays it's so flexible. A lot of the employers, you can
Exactly.
have these. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time I work from home. I make sure I work from home. There are certain days I need to go to the office, but I make sure that my employers know that on certain days I'm not going to be going to the office. Certain days I am, and with that, it comes to planning as well. Make sure you plan well so that you don't miss anything. So, for example, this morning, my daughter had it was parents' meeting, and we were only told last week. They didn't give us enough notice. But between myself and my wife, we made sure one of us went there.
Yeah.
So if you always put your children at the forefront of your plans, and you base your future plans based on the needs of your children, you will see that you'll get many-fold benefits, which is the children are more attached to you. They communicate with you better. And I always, again, before my daughter goes to sleep, I ask her, how was your day? Is there anything that you want to talk to me about? And she does. She'll tell me, she probably tells me more things than her mother, because that's the relationship that I have created with my daughter. Now, having said that, the sacrifice I have to make is a lot of the times I will not probably go out with my friends, but spend it with my daughter because she needs me now. She needs me now. Once they get a bit older and they need me less, I can spend all the time I want with my friends, till, my end days. So I think it's about prioritizing and really understanding what time we should allocate to who and when. So I think it's all to do with planning and just being aware. You have to be aware.
Without a doubt. And I think we should really look towards the Indian community because they're this community is the one and only community which is really doing things right, like in terms of education and parenting. You really see Indian kids, like Indian boys or girls, like they're going straight.
It is such a. I have to add this point as well.
Even Zakir, you'd be surprised. I was reading this article in one of the papers, and in America, in the United States, the Indians, in terms of like the income, is far more higher than the indigenous, the Chinese,
I saw
and the
that.
rest of
I
the
saw
people,
that.
and all the people who live in America from around the world. That shows how dedicated the Indian community is.
And it's through education. Through
So
education.
education, exactly. Like, oh yeah, let me share this with you. Like, I think about 10 years ago, I went to Delhi
Yeah.
for a week, and then I went to Taj Mahal. Obviously, if you go to Delhi, you have to go to Taj Mahal. And I actually went for a treatment, by the way. I went to the Apollo
Okay.
Hospital. So I had to stay there for a week, and then in between, I visited the Taj Mahal, which I loved, and, which is a great place to see. So my point is like, so when I was actually driving from the, sorry, I took a taxi from the airport to my hotel, which was, I think, an hour's drive. And out of all these sort of billboards and advertisements I saw, 90% was to do education.
Yes.
You know, and it's like you'd see one ad saying admit your child to this primary school, another ad admit your child to this secondary school, admit your child to this university. That
Yeah, there you
shows
go.
like how much importance the Indians give, to
And
education,
also,
you know.
also
And
on that
whereas
subject,
normally if you go to any country, you'll see like, cigarette ads, alcohol ads,
alcohol,
yeah,
yes, there you
this,
go.
that, and the
And this
other,
is why,
you know.
and this is why, the Indians throughout the world, they hold very high positions in many different institutions. What it also does psychologically, if the children's all they see is adverts about school and education, and the parents also see it as well,
Mm.
by default, both the parents and the children are being programmed education, education, education. You
Exactly.
see?